Three, two. Hey, man, we are on. Hey, I want to thank everybody that's watching this in the replay. Thank you for coming through the stream show today. As you can tell, I have Richard in here with me. We're not doing the countdown, we're getting right to it. And Richard actually does cybersecurity and um,
Um,
help me out,
help
Richard.
me
Like,
out.
I know you do cybersecurity, and then there's another piece to it. Of course, you're a content creator as well, a part of the Ecamm family. Like, so
Yes,
everybody out there that's watching us that is a part of the Ecamm family, Richard is right there with you, and he's on the show today. So I love being able to bring people up and on. But Richard, can you give us more details when we talk about cybersecurity and cyber defense as far as what you do?
absolutely. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Good to see you guys. So, the internet is a big area, right? It goes all over the place. It's got the dark side, it's got the light side, it's got all kinds of different sides. And everybody wants to penetrate or get into a company or even your own systems, or they just want to play around and see what they can break and get in and then cause havoc and then broadcast to them, hey, we just got into this so and so and shut down the web for this company. So my goal or part of my job is to protect the company that I work for, um, and to investigate current threats that are currently out there. So we review what's out there. Most of the stuff that hasn't been broadcast out to the world, so they're kept quiet. And then we just making sure nothing gets compromised, and we tighten up our security measures and some of the tools that we have in the background that monitor for threats that come in. And it's an all day, every day, 24-hour a day assignment because it's a big world out there, and everybody wants to try something to get in, especially the end user clicking on links that you're supposedly won $1 million or checking
Right.
your bank account. So, even that part right there, which, we might get into some of the stories I've seen, and it's pretty
So as
scary.
people are coming on, Richard, and I got to say this, Richard Sarkissian is his last name. I've been waiting all day to be able to pronounce your last name, sir. So there you go. Sarkissian is here with us. Yes, he is a Ecamm family member that is coming on to help all of us today because cyber threats and internet threats is a big deal. So not only are there industries that are trying to protect themselves, but the government is trying to protect itself. So nobody, Richard, is talking about it, but we may actually be in World War III right now, and it's not being fought in the air or on the ground, but over the internet. Am I too
Yeah,
far fetched in saying that?
yeah, you're right on the spot, because that's getting into cyber attacks and bringing down the government or putting some type of code onto your system is just as bad as a war, right? Because you can basically shut down communications, and you won't be able to communicate with your troops or with anybody or put out a message, because those guys want to get in there and break it down.
Right.
It's
And right now, I mean, it's the was that I would say top three because I'm one of those kind of people that believe if we hear Russia has done it, if we hear China is doing it, you better best believe United States is doing it as well. But of course, they're not going to report on themselves because that'll compromise what they're doing out there as far as the all of us looking at each other's information. We know that the United States has been hacked, and we know that companies that do work for the United States have been hacked. And what I want people to understand with this today is your home network. Okay, so if we are, downloading all these apps, we're going live every day. Yes, for whatever reason, it could be late at night and we make a mistake, Richard, and click the wrong button. Now, of course, all of us have gotten into the Apple ecosystem, and it does help from a lot of the virus viruses that you can have in your computer, but that didn't mean your network couldn't be compromised, right?
That's right. Yeah,
So
because yeah, go ahead.
no. So
No, no,
we put together like these 10
like
steps that's going to help everybody today. Again, if you come in, just let us know you're here. Say hello to Richard, all of that kind of stuff. We're going to go down these 10 steps, and Richard's going to share with us the information to be sure you have a safer home internet. Like, I want to learn this stuff. Me and Richard, where do we meet at? Albany, New York. We had a chance to meet in person for the full time and actually talked about all this. And Richard, my mind was blown by all the stuff that you knew in the work that you do. And I thought I have to have this on the stream show.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was great to meet you as well. Yeah, this is a big topic, and we can talk for hours on it. And the main goal here is to give awareness to everybody, because it's not like it was a long time ago where you would lower your defenses and not really worry about banking and online banking. You mostly just surfing the internet,
Right.
and it's not as elaborate as it was before. So now everything is going through the internet.
So true. So true. Everything, all of our work is going through the internet. And Elaine is hanging out with us. How are you doing, ma'am? Glad you could hang out with us today. And yes, this topic will be great for everybody that's watching. That being said, Richard, let's just dive into the first thing that we want to be sure people understand as steps to keeping your home internet safe.
Sure. So, what I always tell friends and colleagues or anybody I talk to is to, understand your network, understand what you have, what are these companies installing at your house, understand how to log into it, understand, if anything breaks, or even to monitor what's going on. Most people that I know get the guy or lady come in and plug it in and say, here you go, you're all set, and see you later. But then,
Right.
yeah, typically, yes, that's all. But nowadays, you got to be more vigilant with what's happening, right? You got to know if there's anybody connecting. You want to know if there's any. People sometimes complain of traffic, real slow traffic, right? That could be
Right.
a few things. That could be someone, that's running some type of server or some type of application that's hogging up your bandwidth, or you being redirected to another site, for your DNS resolution, right? There's a whole bunch of different things that could impair, your quality and your safety. So the cable modems that you get, some have some advanced sections where you can actually see, some of the main things, some of the things that are important, but doesn't get really into the depth of what I'm going to be showing you.
Gotcha.
And I'm not affiliated with anybody, and I have reviewed a bunch of products, for myself, because when we built this place, I wanted it to be fully automated. That's kind of scary sometimes, but
Right.
the thing that will make ice, I get mad at it, right? But so Ubiquity by Unify is what I use here, and they're consumer based. They're not expensive, and they're come in consumer style size, or even professional, where you can get depending on how many connections you have, you can connect everything to it. So the first thing I want to go down our list is to know your network, right?
Gotcha.
When you get your system, make sure your password that is labeled on the back of your modem is changed, because you never know if that password is the default password for everybody, or even your next door neighbor. Real quick, before, I don't know, 5 years ago, I was, connecting to my cable, and I saw these Wi-Fi signals everywhere around my neighborhood. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to try to click on this one. And I was able to get in, and I knew who he was, my neighbor. So I said, look, your account is not protected. It's just a default account. So I suggest, I suggested to him that he should take care of that immediately, because anybody can connect and
Right.
get a system and cause havoc or install anything. But things like that. So first thing I would do is just recommend that you change your passcode on it, and also review what you have on there. You're not going to hurt anything by looking. Just have a once over and check to see what's actually happening. But where we're going to get into this topic is getting a step further and putting different Wi-Fi SSIDs on your home network. So like guest.
Let me do this real quick, Richard, before you go to that next one, because that's an important one too, so people would know. You said making sure you change your password. So there's different ways that people now have internet access, at least two that I know. So right now, I had decided, because I've had a tough time because I'm streaming all the time with my company, Spectrum. I'll tell you, it's Spectrum, but they have been great to me, but it's just been rough going. I decided that having my own modem router that was expensive, one of the big boys, would work, but it didn't work with their system well. I mean, 6 months it would go down, different things would happen. So now I'm actually using a modem from Spectrum and a router from Spectrum. So two different boxes. So, and I know that people could have the router and modem together. So if people are talking about, when you say change your password, you're really changing the password to your router, because that's your access to the modem. If I have two different boxes,
You want to change the password to anything that's broadcasting.
right?
So if your modem is broadcasting, or your router, you will want to change that. With anything that's showing a communication broadcast,
Right.
change that password on that.
So in this case, my modem is not, because I'm plugged into it. It's not broadcasting anything. I'm actually being able to see my router. That's what's broadcasting, and that's where I need to change the password. And so I go in and I establish a name for my network, right? And then that name, I establish a password for that name network. Is that good enough, or is there a default network in there somewhere I need to be looking for?
Yeah. So are you talking about you're setting up your SSID?
My setting, yes. So if I'm setting up the ID, I'm setting up my name, setting up my password, is there a default one that I need to be looking for as well that may be broadcasting I'm unaware of? Or once you title it something, that's it?
Yeah. So typically when you get your modems, they're already set to default, and then you can rename it to something else. Usually it's set to like Comcast 73421 underscore 555, whatever. That could be the name that you're transmitting. So then you would go in and change that around. And once you're in there, then you can rename it and change the password to that SSID.
Gotcha. So the honest recruiter is saying his Google Mesh with Spectrum modem has worked well, and we're going to get a chance to talk about mesh systems a little bit later as well. But that's really cool. So now that we've established, once you change it, that's changing it in the system. You make sure you have, like in my case, I changed the name so I can see it better. I know that's me. Okay, so I know when I see it, it's me. And then I have my password that, of course, only people in my household knows how to get into it. So now that is the SSID that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so that's...
So what do you do if you have guests come over? Like, how do you handle those?
So if I have guests come over, they don't get access to it. Like, what do you mean? We're just playing cards or watching TV. But the other that I have is so more importantly, my older sons, they come over and they just get the regular password. Is that not good?
Well, putting on my cyber hat, what I would recommend is to section off, your guests' Wi-Fi, because then they can't see anything internally. They can't see nothing that's compromising, right? They get their own separate little world that they can communicate, do their internet, TickTock or Instagram or whatever they want to do while you're there at your place. And you don't have to worry about them seeing your printers or seeing your computers or any of your shared drives. So it's just a password that, you can stick on a refrigerator. It says, our guest password is whatever. Right. And then you can use that. So that's being, because nowadays everybody who comes over, at least around here, always asks, "Hey, what's your internet password? What's your internet password?"
Right, right. Everybody's trying to get off their data. That's true.
Yeah. Right. And also when my youngest has friends come over, their phones are just Wi-Fi, so they communicate with their parents through Wi-Fi. So they want to connect to a Wi-Fi so they'll be able to communicate. So I give them the guest account.
Gotcha.
It's easier than they're trying to get them connected to the main, which I don't want. Then they can see everything, because you don't know from there where that phone goes. Right.
Right.
It's just being protective, because nowadays you just have to be more vigilant and be more thorough on how your data is being transferred around, and that's the safest, is to segment your home Wi-Fi into different spots.
I love that. I love that whole idea of that. I've learned something already. Go ahead and get a guess one and be free to share that, because if you set it up right, provision it right, it only sees so much, right?
Yeah, it only sees a private VLAN, which could be any network that's outside of your own private network. So
Gotcha.
you segment it off so those two can't talk. So for me, you can make it fancy too. You can make a splash page, just like at a hotel. When you go into a hotel, right, you get a login that says enter your room number and your name and all that. So
Hmm.
you fancy like that. You can actually put the person's name in there if you want, so you can keep track of who's connecting, right?
Okay.
And it keeps like this person connected at this time, and is usually good for. I usually put for like 8 hours. That it's good for, because
Gotcha.
anything longer than that, and you don't need, right, because they're usually gone after that.
Right.
Gone home.
Right. Right.
Again, back.
Okay, that works for me. That works for me. So guests come over, go ahead and set up a guest, so they don't have the opportunity to see all of your stuff on your internet, and you're not at risk for their devices having things on it that could fish your network as well. So what's the next thing that we want to be careful of?
So, so we got that. So we want to be careful. So segmenting off your network also protects your actual internet as well, because if someone on the guest network clicks on something phishing, or a site that's compromised, it's not going to affect your main network, right? So it's segmented off of that, right?
Right.
That's the other positive of that. And then the part of the other part of, like, it's like a real-time scanner that's on your network, that's looking for traffic, right? That's coming and going, whether it's malicious, whether it's a well-known malicious site, because there's a database that's being updated every second of sites that are bad, stuff
Gotcha.
that's on the dark web. And the way I have my stuff here is that it constantly monitors the traffic that's coming and going all the time. And this is the key part where this stuff comes into place. So
I do want to say this before you get to the next thing. I got a couple people that are, and one question, but let me do this. James Hicks,
sure.
what's up to you, sir? Thank you for hanging out with us today. The honest recruiter says, hey, I worked for Time Warner Cable years ago. Really glad Rich is going over all of this. It isn't rocket science, and sometimes, some cases, it feels like it can be, but so few know about how it all works, and that is so true. So Elaine is saying she had no idea you can add all these procedures to your guests, and yes, you can. Just as a list of transition, because I think I like this question. Melvin, thank you for hanging out with us today. When or if possible, does it help you to hide your network from public view? Rich, what do you think?
100%. You want to create yourself your own private, right? Because the private never gets broadcasted to your internet, really, because your private IP address is usually a 192, but your cable modem address is the location where it's known, your origin, your geographic location. So people can, if they really wanted to, they can start pinging different addresses on Comcast, because Comcast has a range of different IP addresses. So they just go through that and scan, right, your IP address, and that's how they can find you, because you could have something open on the network, right? But if you segment it out, then you're on a private network, which is not on the public side. So you have your WAN and your LAN address. So the
Wait,
WAN,
time out, time out, time out. Oh, you were about to explain it because it's going over my head just a little bit. Because I agree with this. Now, if there's a way for me to take my network off of what's viewable, I want to be able to do that. And that's what you're explaining now.
yeah. So you have your local area network, which is the communications of your stuff inside your place.
Right.
And then you have the WAN, which is the wide area network, which is communication outside of your LAN, right? So anything that you need to search, like go out on the internet to browse, right?
Uh-huh.
That's on the WAN side. So that will take your address and ask that question, but it will take the address from the Comcast or whatever cable modem address they assign to you, and usually either it's changed dynamically, that number, like every 30 days you get a new address, or you pay a little bit more and keep it statically, right? So I'll get into why pluses and minus on
Gotcha.
keeping a static address, but that's how you cut off your information on your internal network, because no one will see your printers, no one will see your computers, because that's on a private IP address, like a 10 network or a 12 network, right? Which is not a internet published routable IP address,
Gotcha.
basically.
Gotcha. The Honest Recruiter's helping us out. LAN, LAN, WAN, and then VPN. And we're going to get a chance to talk about that too. And yes, sir, Mr. Camera Junkie, Louise, man, how are you doing? And this is going to be a good one, guys. So we're diving into this. This is not, Richard, I want to be honest with you. This is not us talking about how to make $1 million on YouTube. Okay?
Nope.
This is how you keep the money that you do have. Kind of a discussion, right? Like, so there's so many people that could be at risk from all, like I said, I don't think I said this to everybody before, but tons of applications on my computer. At any point, one of those applications or services was at risk for anything, which we know that they are on a daily basis. There are breaches to their contacts, breaches to information, and someone has your name, email address, probably your IP address. They have everything that company knows about you, including maybe even how you paid. All of that is already done. And if there's a breach, is it my understanding, am I not going too far in saying that it's probably already on the dark web by now? Like somebody has paid for that information and it's gone.
Yep. Yeah, because that's all valuable information, and if you can get that information, you can sell it, to the highest bidder, and that's that, and then you're compromised, and then all that money you saved for not investing in some security measures or some additional hardware, now you have to go through that pain and suffering, to help your identity, fix your identity, lock everything down, change everything. It's just such a hassle. So I always tell people, just do it right the first time. Yeah, it is.
That's right.
It can be a little intimidating, but if you get some little thought to it, or even get some assistance, to start you off with that, then you can take it home from there. Right? You just got to get you started and analyze what's happening currently, because you could be compromised for years, and you don't even know it.
Don't even know it.
Another story for that.
And that could really be us, and it could be siphoning off 10 cents, and you just never know. Not that that's hurting you, but over time, I'm sure they will ramp up and ramp up and ramp up. And if there any time that you now have a lump sum of money coming in, now you're even at more of a risk. So, David, thank you for hanging out with us today. And thank you also for telling people not to forget to hit that like button. Please do that, fam. Please do it. It is nothing like being on the Ecamm's YouTube channel with a Ecamm family member talking about things that can help all of us. So Richard is here. We're going down our 10 steps. And Richard, I've been stopping you so that I can ask questions, but I want to see if we can get back to it now. Get back to our list of 10 steps that can actually help people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Feel free. We'll look at the questions and we'll go from there. So, protection. All right. It's really important to understand the data that's coming in and out of your network. Right. So I'll go ahead and show you some things. But before I get that, I'll tell you a really quick story that happened recently. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine got a call from their bank, supposedly their bank, and they said it sounded so real. They said that they need to have there's some monies that have been affected, and they want to be able to get into your system and look at your account.
Right.
So that person wanted to install a product on their computer, right? And it sounded very real. That got installed, but then that's the story we'll get into a little bit later. But the point of this story is you never, ever, ever allow anybody to install a remote program to be able to log into your accounts or to review it with you, because no one will ever do that, ever. So if you ever get a call that someone stole $5,000 from your bank and they need to get into your account and look at it, just go drive to the bank and talk about it. So just one thing, to be conscious of. Never ever allow anybody to install anything on your computer device to be able to log into your account, because then from there they'll put a logger on your system and scan the whole network, and then everything's being traced. So just letting you know that that is never a possibility to think of. And then I was called in and I helped. We got that infection out of there because we identified it was really bad, but we got it taken care of. But it just goes that people fall for this trap because it sounds real, right?
Right.
I just don't want to work.
So let me ask you this question, Richard. In this case, so we have, I've called Apple before to do some service things, and they get access to my computer. I've had some people even use Zoom as a way to access my computer. Like there's a way for Zoom, they can use Zoom and it can command your computer, and they can go around and show you different things in your computer, and you give them access and all. You're not talking about that, right?
No, that's okay. But when they ask you, say, "Hey, let's log into your bank account and I'll review with you what we see."
Oh yeah, that's probably not a great idea to do that. Like if you're having a banking issue, you want to go into the bank.
Yes, but they make it sound very real. Like when they tell you that, hey, $5,000 has been taken out of your account, we have some things that we need to check to verify it's you. Please install the software and we'll help you figure this out. And then you're out.
Wow. So I do want to say this, David. Thank you for hanging out with us. David Hunt is here, and then Elaine says, "Hey, my computers were stolen recently, and the first person I thought of setting up the new one was Richard." And that's a great way to segue as we're talking about this, amped up my understanding so I could do it right. So I do want to say this: Richard is going down this list, but because he is a part of the Ecamm family, he is available to you. I'm not throwing Richard out there. We've already talked about it. Richard is here to help. So you can definitely contact him inside of the community. Or, Richard, give me your email address one time, and we'll do this again towards the end of the day.
All right. It's RICHSARK.
Gotcha.
At gmail.com.
At gmail.com. That's it. And we'll get a chance to put that in the comments as well so people can get to Richard and help. He can help you on a one-on-one basis. That being said, Richard, what do we leave off?
All right. So let's go into some of the stuff that we're talking about. This product numbers that help you give you some identification of what's happening on your network, what's going on, traffic, who's connected. Some of the things that I suggest to look for, and not necessarily you might have, but maybe you would think about investing in something like this because it does help. It does help a lot, especially with headaches, right? Because it's cheaper to do it now versus later, basically.
Gotcha.
So, without further ado,
let's take a look at it. Let me make sure I change my screen as well. There we go.
All right.
Hey guys, lock in now. Lock in. Richard is about to do it for us.
So the product that I use does come with an app on the phone, so I'll show it to you on the phone because it looks a lot more presentable than I'll show you what it looks like on the website. But I'll go ahead and get into my phone here.
While you're doing that, Richard, I'm getting a little static on my end, and I don't know if I have a short in the cord, so I may have to change headphones as well just to test it out. Go right ahead.
All right. All right. So this is a quick overview of my real-time status of my infrastructure, my internet. Right. It tells me how many devices are connected, how many total clients could be Wi-Fi or LAN Connect clients or people or anything basically, and my current speed, that's being used currently, my experience as well. Let me lock that screen. All right, and then also down below here is what I like to see is our most active clients or people or applications, and I can see Xbox, TikTok, and Netflix are one of the top most active things on here. Which I know because the kids are watching movies. We're playing Xbox, but they're most active right now. And I can show all, but and then you notice up top here, I got a little bell with a blue dot on it, so that tells me that something happened. All right, so if I click into that,
hey Richard, let me do something really quick here. I
Sure.
changed headphones, guys, because I was hearing a little bit of static myself, and there's a little bit of static in the line, and I'm not sure where it comes from, but it's on your end when you're talking. Is there another mic or something you may be able to grab really quick?
How about Old Faithful? About the SM7B?
All right.
Does that sound any better?
No, that one is still static here, and I'm not really sure why.
I'm not hearing it on mine.
Troubleshoot this a little bit.
Let me pull my USB from the back here because sometimes that causes some static. Give me a second. All right, let's see. All right, how's that?
Hold 1 second. All right,
All right.
that sounds better. Now, before we go on to this next thing, just so people will know, Richard, do you mind showing them like the behind the scenes really quick? Like there's a reason why there may be a little static, and it's only because Richard's setup is so robust. Oh my goodness. You hear me? Like looks like Spider-Man or something is going on back there with all those arms hanging up there. It sounds much, much better, man. Now it's clean. Talk for me real quick.
Yeah, interesting because I had a problem with this my other Rodecaster Pro where you have to sometimes pull the USB plug out of the back and plug it back in.
Got you.
This has been replaced, but this is the first time it came back, so that's not good.
And that's the Rodecaster 2?
That's the Rodecaster 2, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, it sounds crystal clean now. Now we've gotten it, and I apologize for everybody else. I didn't know where it was coming from, and I was thinking it was maybe my headphones, and I'm playing with my headphones, but it didn't clear up. But now we have it cleared up. So thank you, David, Joel, Master Park, and Business Growth. Thank you guys for helping us out and making sure we got all this together. So we got it together now. And boom, and boom. There you go. So we're ready to get into it now.
All right.
And basically, you're showing us through your phone the device you could actually use and how it is all set up.
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
Yeah, so the system, the unified system uses a cloud-based device with keys that can connect to your, to your system that's in the cloud, which authenticate you via, via Face ID or two-factor, right? So once I get in there, I can see what's going on remotely or even when I'm here at home, right? And I also get real-time alerts. So if something happens, I'll get a push notification. Like a few days ago, I'll show you, go down here a little bit. As you can see here on February 27th, I got an attempt attack intrusion from this IP address that my system automatically detected it and blocked it automatically without even me, getting nervous or upset, right? It detected some anomaly and it automatically blocked it. And the same again, on these other, on these other dates. So you can see that, I'm even me, I'm getting constant intrusion alerts, from people trying to scan my network and to see what's open, but they're not going to get far. But most people don't know that this is happening, right? And
Got you.
what if there is something that's open and they're in there? So my system here detects these intrusions and automatically blocks them and alerts me here. And you can see it happens, quite more than I like, but I know that I got the stuff here that protects it. So this is called the threat management part of it, which we'll get to in a second. All right. Um,
So
so
tell us
this is my
about the machine. Oh, that's what you're doing now. I'm ahead of you, Richard. I apologize. Let me slow it down. And Kimberly G, thanks for hanging out with us.
It's all right. So so this is the topology of what I have here at the house. So I got my dream machine, which is basically my firewall and my gateway out to the internet. And then I have my router or switch, which everything connects to it, including my access points. Now, the part that, you know, this part here, the PoE, the PoE switch can come anywhere from 3 ports all the way to 48, depending on how many devices you have. So you don't have to go as big as I did, but because I had my house built, I got everything ran in there, so I can run power over Ethernet. So
Uh
all my
huh.
access points have power over Ethernet. So I have about 30 or 40 ports that I need to use, right, for power. But most people I recommend when I scope these out, they can get either a 5 or a 6 switch port that connects to your dream machine, which is your firewall, your threat management device that protects you from devices that are coming in to the inside. So the part that can be a little bit costly is how many devices you want to be connected to your switch. And like I said, most people don't have this big of a switch, but a 5 or a 6 is good, and they're a few $100s. It's not that bad.
Gotcha. Now, this switch, when you say devices that are connected, are you talking about mobile phones and tablets and all of that?
Yeah, so I'm talking about my access points, which are the ones there that you see, as well as my computers.
Right.
The LAN connections are all connected to there as well. On my outside cameras as well, they're connected to the PoE, which is the
Right.
LAN with the power over Ethernet. So I don't have to run, power lines to it. It's all coming through the Ethernet port. So I'm sending
Right.
like 48 volts or 12 volts or whatever volts through the camera.
And because you
Uh,
built your home instead of building power cables out there, it's a Cat 6 line basically that's going out there that's giving you power over Ethernet, and it's hitting the power is coming from this other the server.
yes, the power's coming from here. So I run voice and data. So I got 2 drops everywhere in my house, and I also ran a backup one just in case. And I got dual. Some areas I got dual lines because man, when if something happens in the wall, you pull it and breaks. I got a backup one with a string
Gotcha.
on it, so I can pull it through. And fish it through with a
Richard,
string.
that's really smart, man. That's really smart. Like people are not thinking about that nowadays.
Yeah, that's the
That's why
controls.
we're doing this show, guys.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this show to kind of educate all of us at one time about the seriousness of number one, understanding your network, and then how to provision it. Like, so this is where we are right now.
So there, I'm showing you my access points. So I have 4 access points. I got one here in the office that I hog up for me because I want all my bandwidth.
Right.
And then and I got one in the kitchen, which is a few feet away from me. I got one in the basement, and then one upstairs. So these are all access points that are broadcasting into one SSID, right? Plus my guest network. So I'm actually broadcasting 3 different SSIDs, which are all connected to these access points depending on where you are in the house. So if you're in a basement, then obviously the basement will be the strongest signal, so you can automatically connect to that. And if you just go upstairs, your signal will follow you all the way upstairs. It's basically it's roaming around where you go, so you don't
Gotcha.
have to go up and reconnect, right? So it's automatic access point because I'm hitting the 5 band and the 2 kilohertz at the same time. So depending on what your phone can do, will connect to the best, strongest signal automatically. So you don't have to. Some people I go where I see SSIDs for 5G and SSID for a 2G, right?
Right.
This one meshes both together and it picks the strongest signal where you are in your environment, and it'll connect to that.
I
Okay.
like it.
Yeah, it works really well. All right. So let's go down. So here is all my devices, and I got 67 clients or connections through my switch. And then it breaks it down into how many different people are connected to my different points of access. Like the basement, I got 7. In the office, there's 15, 10 in the kitchen, and 10 upstairs. So got quite a lot of people here. Got some friends and stuff here. So there's quite a few people here today.
Gotcha.
So it tells me that, right? And I can narrow it down just to my access points and then my 2 devices that are hard coded. So I can break it down. And the real cool thing about this is I'll go into the statistics. This is where I was talking about what are people doing, what applications are being connected or being used the most, and you can see there the traffic. Right, there's lots of traffic. At 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I guess when everybody woke up, got on the internet and started doing stuff. So I can switch by application. So my top applications that are used are TikTok, Netflix, YouTube, and some other ones here, Instagram. But if I want to go even further, I can click onto TikTok and it'll tell me who's actually using TikTok.
Wow.
So I can see all these devices here that are using TikTok, right?
That's
Or
very interesting.
even Netflix. I can see who's using Netflix, right? So
Right.
and this is good too for monitoring your kids who
Exactly.
are not supposed to be going somewhere where they're not supposed to, and you can tell by the device where it's coming from.
I like that because, my youngest is 17 years old, brother. There's
Mhm.
no telling. I love him to death, but there's no telling. So this way will give me a better understanding of what he is doing. Not that he has to know Daddy is looking, but I need to be aware of what he's got going on.
Yeah, and also when our kids were a little bit younger, I had a schedule, right? So at 10:30 at night, the Wi-Fi would shut off for the kids' network.
Gotcha.
And that was it. Everything goes down. They can't connect because this product allows me to do that, so I can bring it down. And then, but on my main Wi-Fi, I keep it up 24 hours a day. But they can't get into it because it's all part of an access that I made a list of people who are allowed to access it through MAC addresses, which is your identifier on your phone. So only
Wow.
those people that I put into my main network are allowed in. So anybody else who is not authorized won't get into it. So then, the kids say, okay, it's 10:30, shut down, and then it comes back on again at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then there you go, they're back in service. And then on the weekends, we make it a little bit later. But as they get older, they're being more responsible, and nowadays with what's happening, you have to understand what your kids are going into, what they're doing, because they not necessarily understand what they're doing,
Right.
and not for you to be the big brother, but basically to educate and to understand, why, and if there's anything that you want to talk about more with anybody about, why are they going to these places, or there's something going on, or if you notice a site that's not supposed to be there. So it just gives you some awareness, because otherwise you don't know.
Otherwise,
Right.
you don't know. I really do understand that. Guys, if you're watching today and Richard is going through all of this and he's sharing some really good information, if you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask it. We're going to be on for just a little bit longer tonight talking about this stuff. So I want to be sure that you get an understanding of everything he's saying. And I see you're still moving through some of those charts. Tell me what we're looking at now.
Yeah. So this other one here is my statistics between how many people are connected on Wi-Fi. The 2.4 gigahertz or the 5 gigahertz, right? So I got 22 and 20 clients are connected, and down below here, it tells me the strength between the access points between great, good, and poor. So there are some spots that have a poor connection, but it gets picked up by the other access points automatically. But
I
it just
got it.
gives you an idea, what's happening.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
And so we were talking earlier about your SSIDs.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the ones that I created. So I got Kid Zone, which is our kids, which is our family members here in the house, and then we got our house guests, which is the one that I use to give to everybody who come in and want to use our internet. All right, and it tells me how many people are connected. So currently I don't have anybody, but it gives me a number there. 5, 6, 3, or 2. That people are connected to it.
Right.
And then the Firewire Next Gen, which is my main internet, which is the one that I use here, which requires, which I give myself full bandwidth, which I'll get into next. So you can segment bandwidth on your different profiles. So your guest network doesn't have to have 1 gig up and 1 gig down, right? You can say, they're good enough with 10 and 10 megabits up, 10 megabits down. You don't have to give them the full bandwidth, right? Because it just takes away from your pie, right?
Got you.
And so that's called profiles. So on my profiles, this is where I define, the kid speed. I give him 10 and up, 10 down, right? Our guest, I give 10 and 8. Why not?
Right.
And then for me, I go unlimited. So I take everything, including whoever's connected to our main Wi-Fi, gets unlimited bandwidth. And that also as well can cut up your pie, because you're not dedicating all your bandwidth to one place, right?
Right.
You have the quality of service that are going to different places. And if you're doing streaming, you don't want to give all your bandwidth to your guests, even though they're not using it. So you want to use this product that create a bandwidth profile and segment your speed.
I like
So I'm not
that.
sure if you have any questions so far.
So not really a question. This is something we may be able to help Joel out with. He says that he uses a network. There we go. But he cannot always easily identify his clients. Can you help him out with that?
Yeah. So the identification of clients are part of what the unified system gives you. It gives you it identifies who's on your network by the MAC address and by the OS and who they are, and it gives you the icon because it connects to a database base. Because the MAC address is an identifier to a piece of hardware, like say 05:03:F4 is, maybe I'm just pulling out a name. It could be Apple, right? And then after that, Apple could be the next digit, could be something identifying as a Mac OS, right? So
Gotcha.
the database uses to go against that and see what that device is, and identifies that based on the MAC address of that system or telephone or computer or whatever it is. But I can show you that on our next screen. But basically, this is part of being aware of what's happening with your infrastructure, and traffic management. Now, the part here, threat management. Okay, so if I go into here, so I have it set to malicious website blocker, which is checked, which is a real-time database that always connects and gets a feed and analyzes traffic based on if they're a threat. And then if anybody here that's connected hits those malicious sites, it'll block it automatically. So it's a real-time database. It's great. I think it's the best real-time database that's always being updated by the cyber defense team that are on the back end of this thing, right? Because there's threats happening all the time. And then I go to custom, and I give myself some custom blockers that I track as well. So any exploits, any Tors, any ActiveX, anything, a web server. So these are all the things that someone could install on your computer. You don't even know it. Like maybe someone installed a web server or an FTP server or some type of mail server. You would know,
Right.
right? But this will block it. This will tell you, hey, there's a server running here that's popping mail. And that's
So let
no-no.
me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. And what network are you using? Like, what is that called?
Well, I'm on this system is called Unify, but my back
Unify.
end is Unify. And the internet I use here is Shaw, which is like T-Mobile
Gotcha. Gotcha.
States.
So
But
you had another, I guess, example that was more like full screen, a computer full screen, where people can see a little better of how your hardware is set up. There we go.
yeah, so this is the full version. Okay, so this is the full blown version of what it looks like when you go into your IP address to see what's going on. Same with my phone. So I would go into here. Oops, I think it timed out.
So that's Unify. Oh, it's okay. I get it now. Now I understand.
So this is a
Wow.
bigger picture of what we were looking at earlier, right? And
Wow.
condensed
So
into
this is the desktop version of what you were using on your phone.
yeah. So I got this sitting on. I can have this sit on my monitor here on the wall there, be like a knock and watch everything. But I didn't do that.
Okay, I got it.
But occasionally I will look to see if everything's running smoothly, because sometimes the kids say something I can't get on internet, or it's slow, or something's happening, right? Or there's an update. So this tells me how much traffic it's coming through, right? Total amount of clients. And then I think someone asked a question on the identification. So if we go to statistics, let me go to there we go. So this person here, well, on the system here, analyzes all the traffic that's coming through. This is that real-time threat management. So anything that's coming through is being monitored, and also identifying every device and traffic that's coming through. So it's actually scanning everything that's coming through my pipe, through the internet, and seeing if it's a threat, if it's a device that's actually running a malicious code on it, because maybe a phone is running some malicious device on it. I don't want it on my network, so it'll scan it and flag it and block it.
I like it. And Joe loves it too, because this is great. So that's what's up.
Yeah, this is good stuff. And then earlier, anything that gets you can actually block certain things as well, like certain countries you can block. Like if you were blocking any type of country, you can block that country as well from being accessed as well. So by origin, geographic location. So if you don't want anybody to go to, I don't know, I'm just picking a name like China or something, for example, you can block, by country as well. So if there's a site that's in China, it'll block that origin as well from people accessing it.
And that's really cool. That's really cool. So do me a favor. Let's get back to this hardware and software that you have, so people will know if we're talking about this today, if they need to upgrade their system. Because to be honest with you, Richard, guess what? My hand is absolutely raised. I needed this conversation today. What do they need to get and to get started with this? And then we'll end with making sure we go down our 10 steps so that everybody understands that as well.
So I'll go back to the film part because it's easier to see. So I would go to Unify or UI.com.
Okay. UI.com.
Yep. And I would look into getting the Dream Machine, which is their Dream Machine Pro. It's called, right, on their site.
Machine Pro.
Which is your gateway and your firewall and threat management device. Okay, which is it's got SFP ports on there. It's got everything you need to be able to run firewall through that device. Right, that's the first thing that I would purchase, and then I would get rid of your little switch or your router that you have at home, and look for one that's a 5-port switch from Unify. Okay, which you can just quickly replace it automatically and plug everything back in. And the good thing about Unify is that it auto adopts, right? So all you got to do is have your phone next to you, and as you turn it on, it'll detect your key that you have established, and that key will automatically adopt to that device and connect to it, and you can configure it right from your phone within a few minutes. It's really simple. You don't have to, like in the old times, grab your computer, get a crossover line and go in there and telnet into it and then adjust all. So this way you can do it all through your phone.
So you're saying this 5-port switcher will replace your router?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how many you have. If you have a 5 or a 6 or 8, you go as big as you need to go. But if you have a 5-port at home, then I would get a 5 as well, right? So you can have the same amount of ports for a switch.
Gotcha.
So, and then I know one of the last topics was access points, right? And meshing. I think that was
yes. So let's go down. Let's go down this list, and then we'll stop for the ones that we hadn't got a chance to talk to. So number 1, know your network. Identify all the devices, connections that you have to your network. Number 2, let me get this here. Number 2 is change your cable modem password or router modem password. Any password or any kind of password that you need, you want to be sure it's customized to you and not a default, because people already have the default passwords. Okay, there are people that have those passwords already. Create a guest network for you. So if you have people coming on, they don't need to get to your full network. Do a guest network that's provisioned just for them to be able to get simple things to the internet. Invest in better threat management solutions, which we've just talked about with the Dream Machine Pro.
Yes.
I wrote it down. I take good notes. Along with a 5-port or more switcher. Ensure no outside or unknown users are connected. Regularly check your network for any unknown or unauthorized devices. You want to know about that, and then those systems will help you see that as well. Number 6, separate main Wi-Fi SSID and kids Wi-Fi so you can see, and when you're separating, you're able to also provision how much bandwidth they have. Up or down speeds, which I need to do because if I'm live streaming, even though I have enough, the system is deciding who needs what, and they don't know that I want to have all the access, and they can be slow, but I can't be slow. So access points versus meshing. That's number 7. So you were about to start talking about having access points versus the meshing. I guess it's the meshing systems that we have.
So meshing is where you have the ability to run Ethernet across into your walls, right? Because it's difficult, unless you're able to. So a meshing would be to extend your Wi-Fi using the same signal to another location and then transmitting it, but not actually getting more speed. You're just piggybacking off your
Richard, let me interrupt you just 1 second if you don't mind. I do hear the static coming back just a little bit in there from an audio standpoint. It's a little bit static coming back through.
All right. Well, give me a second. I'll pull the plug
Yeah,
again.
got you. And this is important. So I didn't know the difference
All
with
right.
all of this. So that sounds better. So I didn't know the difference. Access point versus meshing.
Yeah. So the access point, which is where you actually run an Ethernet cable to your
Mm-hmm.
switch to the access point. So you're getting full, gigabit speed to your access point, right? Because your access point then from there takes it down straight to the internet. So
Right.
you're not meshing. You're not piggybacking it off another signal, right? You're having a straight pipe from your access point straight to your internet.
Right.
If you're able to run wires, and be able to have an access point, I would recommend that. But if you are, or you can have both, right? You can have a meshing system somewhere else, but if you're somewhere where you can have access to your ceilings or walls, run a cable down to your switch from to the access point, which your switch will have your power over Ethernet, so you can run power right to it, so you don't have to worry about any electricity up there, up at your wall.
I
So
got you.
you're
So that's still an access point, and we're not talking about computers, but we're talking about other systems, like to expand your Wi-Fi throughout the home. Correct?
right. So let's say you're in the kitchen, you have an access point that's got an Ethernet line that's a gigabit straight down to your switch. So
Right.
you are able to give everybody that full gigabit broadcast. Typically you're not doing a gig, but you're doing at least higher than what you would with meshing, because you're not taking someone else's signal. You're taking a direct feed from the access point
I get
straight
it.
straight to
I
the
get it.
modem
So
switch.
from a meshing standpoint versus an access point, meshing is still coming off of Wi-Fi. So even though you can get multiple people on that mesh, it's still a Wi-Fi signal, which is going to have those up and down points and not be as powerful as a direct access to that mesh system. And if you use an access point, you're also able to take the advantage of having it powered through the server, because it could be powered over Ethernet as well.
Yes.
Man, I'm learning, Richard. I'm learning, sir.
Yeah, that's good, because this is all, once you get it all set up, it gives you that peace of mind that, hey, I feel confident what's going on in my system. I feel confident of that, I'm not being compromised, and just gives you that feeling, because every day you hear all these stories. But investing a couple of dollars, and these are quite affordable. They're not that bad. The hardest
Right.
part is running the cable lines. That's basically probably the hardest part.
Okay,
You know,
so now set bandwidth profiles for kids. We talked about that. Enable uh, parental controls. We talked about that. And then enable real-time monitoring. And that's that system that you're able to do through the Dream Machine Pro.
yes, the
I've
Dream
got it.
Machine.
I've
That's
got it.
what.
And for Richard to get in contact with him, because Elaine, Richard is saying she needs a step-by-step course in all of this. So you're going to have to build a course for all of us, Richard, so we'll get all the information we need to be able to do this the right way. How can people get in contact with you if they do want some time to kind of talk through their setup to be sure that they're set up the right way?
You can reach me through the social, right, networks. I'm on Ecamm community or YouTube, or you got my email address, which we'll give it out again. RICHSARK@gmail.com, and or go to YouTube at Cyber Defense DDI, and that's you can find me there. I'm on Twitter. I'm everywhere. You
That's what's
can't
up.
miss the space.
That's what's up. So I talked to him through Facebook, so I know he's on Facebook. So you can definitely
Mhm.
inbox him, get a message to him. He's willing to help people in the community be able to kind of get their setup together. He's the guy that's around that knows all this stuff. It doesn't take but one of us to really have an issue to waking all of us up to the threats that are out there. There's so many things that are happening in the world of the internet, like even with these banks going down, with that is also having the internet companies that go down. these companies have some of our information. And if they're down, where does that information go? So this is easy for people now to take that information and sell it. And what we could do is at least protect our home network. So you want to be able to do that, protect your home network so that you don't have an issue with the threats coming in and getting all the information that's on your computer. So I do have a setup, Richard, that I think works, but I don't have the 5-port switch yet. I got to get that, and I do need the Dream Machine Pro so I can see all of the cool things that you have there, and then I might have to sit my son down and have a discussion. I don't know, but at least I'll be able to figure it out. Richard, man, thank you so very much. Number one of the faithful members to the stream show, like there from the beginning, hanging out with me and Brant. We did get a chance to meet in Albany, New York, and talk about all this stuff, and my eyes were wide open then, and you have definitely helped the whole community out tonight. So I want to tell you thank you for being a part of the community, and thank you for your help to, really give us this information. And as you can tell, there's people that know about it, but we needed to be able to figure out the steps that you have and even the equipment that you use so we can be better at it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Give us, give me, look me up and we'll talk, because it's a big world out there, and we have to be safe.
That is
Thank you.
so true. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. And everybody else has hung out with us tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. And we are planning to do this again next week. I think next I have Alec Johnson coming to the stream show. Alec has done a great job last week with doing some of the tutorials and presentations for Ecamm. We're going to sit down and talk to him again about building courses with Ecamm. So if you're someone that's trying to be a coach, I'm waving my hand, and you want to be able to have systems and processes set up to be able to do video, coaching, digital courses, you can build those things using Ecamm. So I want you to come hang out with us so that he could teach us how all of that is done. And please, if you don't do anything else, help me out by reaching out to Richard and saying, hey, Richard, help me. I think he'll be willing to do it. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Hey, this is DJ Strick, and I would like to thank you for watching another edition of The Stream Show.